Hi, and welcome to the Live Edge Lumber Girl Show. This episode of the Live Edge Lumber Girl Show comes to you from Tags Tools, with 2 locations to serve you in Hamilton, one at 1104 Barton Street East, and in the mountain at 1361 Rymel Road East, your go-to store for hard-to-find tools and machinery. Maker and entrepreneur Keith Tribe of Rustic Worksberry is very well known for his barn board and live edge picture frames. We sat down and talked about how to fabricate those, finishing, and so much more. Hi.
I'm a traditional barn boarder, I guess.
Yes.
That's where I started 5 years ago. I didn't even know what was about with live edge and hardwood up until about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything I did was just making frames, whether they were 4" by 6" or 4 foot by 8 foot, whether they held artwork or mirrors or chalkboards. But I pretty much made them all out of either barn board or thresher board or barn flooring board, or made them out of beams. That was kind of the world I was in. I didn't even know what this live edge world was as far as where to get it.
Right.
But and barn board is still, I'm going to say, probably 30-40% of my work.
Okay.
You know, it's but I certainly like most artisans, and because I watch your posts, how much you can fall in love with the grains and the edges of hardwood, and unlike a lot of artisans, I'm a sandaholic. I could spend 6-8 hours on a sander, and all because that's where you start to find all the magic in the wood.
Oh my God, I know. It's amazing. I just recently discovered that. Like, I didn't know that when you started sanding, what you would reveal.
Yeah.
Literally, you reveal the wood and the things that are underneath. I even found holes underneath the wood. Like,
oh, yeah, and then you learn that you got to fill them.
That's irritating.
Yeah, so suddenly I go from working with barn board and beams to, oh crap, now I got to learn how to use epoxy because I got to fill those gaps. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you go from and suddenly you realize you got to fill those darn holes. So now I got to start learning how to use epoxy. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, there's always the Rangate gun. Do you know about Rangate gun?
Hey, that's my new friend.
No kidding, eh?
Yeah, I watch a lot of. I spend the mornings watching a lot of videos and podcasts and YouTube stuff about what everybody else is doing, and the Rangate system's amazing. Anybody who isn't using it will suddenly realize that there are days worth of shop time saved by using it, and the amount of times that you don't ruin beautiful tops with shadowing from when you're starting to use color in the epoxy and stuff. Right. And then you got to start heading back to the big planers, and that's just costs more money, takes down the wood, and usually exposes more holes that you have to come back and fill.
I know. Yeah.
A fellow artisan out west introduced me to that, and it's been great.
Yeah, I've been using it for a long time now. I think I was like, a lot of people didn't know about it, and somehow I came across it one day on Instagram, and I was like, I need this, and I ordered the kit.
Yeah, it's funny. I love when you said you've been using it for years. I'm using things for the last couple of months that most people have been using for years, but that's what's so cool about this industry is if you ever think that you're on the leading edge of anything, you suddenly realize that I realize I am Father Time, and I am waiting.
I love it.
That's what makes it fun. That's what my wife says. What did you order now? what new tool have you coming in? But that makes this whole industry so fun. It allows you to expand and explore new ways to do things and turn out new and more beautiful products. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And so in regards to reclaimed, there's so many challenges with reclaimed because it's old wood, it might have nails or whatever. How do you, when you're doing your joinery with say like barn board, how do you do that? What are you using for that?
Well, it's interesting because I can't count the 100 people in the industry, or people who just do carpentry kind of work, who always are throwing at me, why aren't you biscuit jointing those? Well, the challenge is that the moment you try to use a biscuit joiner, the back has to be flat or it doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But in the world of, as you know, barn board, gray board, brown board, whether you're doing it with beam slices,
Yeah.
whatever you, for me, I'm building a frame or something like that, and I do a lot of frames. I do thousands of frames.
I know this. Yes.
I don't care what the back looks like. I care about what the front looks like. I want all those things to line up. And as you know, you could take a 10-foot length of barn board and it starts at 1 inch at one end and tapers down to 5/8 at the other. But you want to use all that. So biscuit joining doesn't work. So at the end of the day, it just comes down to good old glue. And then I've become a master of bending brackets so that they fit the contours of the wood, and we put those onto the back. And the end of the day, we solidify it, and then I do inserting on the inside of the frame to add decor, but also add strength that the glass and the backing and the artwork sits into. So it's in the world of somebody who's a kitchen maker, who everything is so tight and everything, it may not be. They may look at me as a bit of an old horse, but it works. And at the end of the day, as I always say, plants, you don't have to buy it till you love it. So far I haven't made a whole lot of frames the second time, so I think it's working. But yeah, you're right. Barn board is a trick. It's not straight. It's the same thing when we tell people when they want me to clad an entranceway in barn board or thresher board, or somebody wants a big floor mirror that they're going to mount on a wall, and I have to remind them that none of this stuff is flat. You can only bend the wood so much so far. And,
that's right.
That's happens when you want something that's 150 or 200 years old in your home. That's the point, right? If you want perfection, then go to a mill shop. There's a lot of times I tell people,
go to IKEA.
I'll give you the name of a really good cabinet maker. Because I think that's what you're looking for. It's the picture when somebody sends me of something made what they think is barn board, and I zoom it in, and it's flooring.
Yes,
Which,
I know.
Hey, now you can get tight corners. But at the end of the day, it's what presents the challenge, and I love a challenge, and every day is a challenge because people are always sending you pictures from Pinterest and Instagram and saying, "Can you make that?" And there are times I have to mail back or respond back and go, "What is that?" I don't know what it is that you're looking at. So, but it's good. It's a lot of fun, but I still love working with the old century wood. I'm still doing lots of mantles. Those present all their own challenges.
Because you were just doing a mantle yesterday.
Yeah, I've done 3 this week.
You've done 3. Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, and then I do. It's day 3 on a cap project. So quite often, like you see behind you, is somebody already has a mantle in place. Yeah. And the ones that were in the 50s are concrete, so they're not coming off really easy.
Okay.
People want a cap with a beam. So quite often, barn flooring, which is already somewhere in the area of 1.25 inches to 2 inches thick.
Yes.
We do a cap, and then we do a plate running around the front. We do a lot of caps that way, and it does make it look nice. But mantles are great. I've done a few where you have to chisel out the back. Those are not near as much fun. But mantles, they present their own challenges, and it's not even so much the mantle, it's or the beam, it's what you're putting it on. The one
you're putting it on, sure.
The one I just did the other day, I went about a month ago and tested the wall, and I found the 2 studs in the middle, 16 inches apart, and assumed that the rest of the wall was wood studs. And surprise, I went to install it yesterday, and no, it wasn't. The rest of it was all metal studs. Well, I don't know. There's one for anybody listening to this. If you know a way to anchor anything into a metal stud that will hold a 50 or 60 or 70 pound beam, call me. I'm really interested. So, I go with all my tools in hand. So, it's typically, I find the easiest way to do it is to take like 1/2 inch lag and put them into the wall. I usually put about 5 inches into the wall, 4 or 5 inches, and having about 5 stitches sticking out. And then I cut off the ends, and then we drill holes in the mantle and place it up onto it. And quite often, even just a couple of Craig screws at 45s into the beam, into back is more enough to hold it, more than sturdy enough. And that's what we did. But at the end of the day, it was a 6-foot mantle with 2 posts 16 inches apart in the middle. So
Wow.
I went for it and it worked. But, you know, there's times when I can't count how many holes were drilled into the back of the wall trying to find something to anchor to. But hey, as the client's looking at me and laughing and saying, "Hey, that looks like what happens when I do it." And I went, "Well, you hired me, so it's not supposed to look like that."
That's like me when I'm hanging up a picture. It's like, oh, I didn't like it there, so I'm moving it. It's like, nobody's gonna see that hole anyways, you know.
Yeah, well, that was just it. I covered a lot of holes up the other day.
Right.
But, you know, it's nice, and the nice thing about it is you stick a 200-year-old can sit there for another, you know, 50 or 60 years, and that's really nice. Yeah, and it's interesting how with COVID and everything going on, just how busy we in the artisan world is. But I guess it's because people are sitting at home and looking around and going, maybe we're not taking a vacation this year, so why don't we do something interesting and something fun? And so I took about a week and a half off after Christmas, and I think it's the only time I had off in 2020.
Right.
And, you know, lots of projects, lots of desks.
I'm doing a desk too. I'm doing a desk for my daughter. I'm doing a desk. Yeah.
I've done a couple of dozen desktops.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun because who doesn't like to go buy big live edge slabs, right?
Yeah, and turn it into a cool desk. Exactly.
Pull out the track saw, square it up, leave the front, put it on some legs. Again, I know my limitations. I always tell people I don't do drawers. So if you want drawers, call a cabinet maker. I'll do it.
Exactly.
People are liking the nice big slab top with legs because at some point when they're not going to be working from home, they hope is it'll just become a table for them.
Yeah, or turn it into a coffee table, or there's all sorts of things that you can do with something like that if you don't want to keep it as a desk. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying about the drawer thing because, you know, if you want a drawer, go see a cabinet maker, and because that's a concern for me is I've been thinking I don't really know how to do that stuff, and I really want to learn. I want to learn how to build a box. I want to learn how to so that I can do that stuff. But really, you're right. Like if you love woodworking but you don't have that skill set, that's okay.
Well,
doesn't mean you can't do it anyway.
Yeah, it usually comes down on I don't have the tool that you need just to do that particular thing.
Right.
But you know what to do what I did. My son just opened up a new chiropractic clinic and he needed a reception desk. So I did one with a live edge and all of that.
Yeah.
But I made a drawer for him because I thought, okay, I'll make one for him because if it doesn't turn out right, he's family, you know, he can't say anything.
Okay.
So that desk you're making for your daughter, make a drawer. It's not all that hard. Use the European gliders because they're idiot proof. And you know, but it's again, I'll spend more time trying to make that drawer than I do the whole project. So
exactly, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, and I want to get on to. I don't mind making the desks and things, but I want to get on to making, you know, things like that.
Yes, like your mirrors. Yeah, I love your mirrors.
Cookie coffee tables and.
Beautiful.
Things like this, you can see yourself. Yeah, things like this. We put the corners together and, you know, have fun.
I love that. So that's all you've preserved the bark. You preserve the bark on that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of becoming known for the guy that doesn't take off most of the bark, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because I think, especially when you're working with things like black walnut. That bubble in the wood is just, I can't bring myself to hit it with a chisel.
I hear what you're saying. I feel bad. I feel bad. Yeah, when I take it off, I'm like,
Whether I'm working with charcuterie thickness stock or thicker, especially I do a lot of mirrors. Probably 50% of my framing has got a mirror in it.
Yes.
And I like that because it's a blank canvas. So, you know, I'm not restricted by color tones and things that from the artists that I frame for. But my Dremel becomes my friend, and I just spend hours on a Dremel sculpting all the corners in so they look like they fit naturally together. And that's what people seem to call me about a lot. We post a lot of that, and they seem to like that. So I'm doing a couple of those a week every week. And when I'm not doing those kind of frames, I've been very, very fortunate over the last 2 or 3 years to frame for a lot of artists and photographers all over North America.
I see. That's where stained glass. And it had birch trees.
Yeah. I have, I've kind of got to that point where I can say to people, I don't know if there's much I haven't framed. I have a couple of artists who are stained glass people that one who just does your traditional stained glass and he hands it to me. And those can be a challenge because typically stained glass is a long way from square. It can be out an inch from one end to the other. It's just the way it works. But I love doing that, and that can be a trick because you got to dual side it because they usually hang in a window, and you want the framing to look equal on both sides. And then I have a fellow, Lee Sheldon, who is an unbelievable glass etching artist. His work is phenomenal, and I might have done 100 plus frames for him last year. And again, that's lots of fun challenges. I love doing, I get really excited when somebody's got a canvas, a wrapped canvas, because I love to float them. And that's where barn board comes back into play. Barn board, as you know, a lot of people think you see it from the highway, it's all the same gray color, but the moment you get up close to it, it's every color in the rainbow.
Yes.
Well, in a certain tone, I guess. But that's what I like. I just tell all artists, if they're not close enough for me to acquire the work, then just send me the outside dimension in the picture. And then, it's fun to take a barn board that starts gray and moves towards a darker gray, and then even goes into brown. And so cutting that up and moving it around the piece of work so that all the color tones work with the art. That's kind of what I love to do. And so, whether I'm framing stained glass or oils or canvas or photos, that's a daily thing, and I really do enjoy that. And then the break from that, working with the hardwood, do a lot of framing with hardwood as well. And again, I love to do it where I leave the natural live edge, and so you just flip it and reverse it, so all the live edge is on the outside. So you need the dimension on the inside for the framing, and we have a lot of fun. And my motto with people is, don't give me too much direction. I don't want any direction, because my policy is if you don't love it, you don't have to buy it. So tell me what it is you've got. Tell me sort of what you're thinking, because people that don't want barn board, they want hardwood, and that's fine. But then I'll make it and I'll send you a picture. And if you don't love it, you don't have to buy it. We'll start again.
That's a very good policy, actually, because I'm working on some shelving right now for someone, and they have sort of like used to be a closet. It's an alcove, and they just want three shelves, like different widths, live edge. And it's like, okay, I showed him, okay, we're in COVID. So I said, I can't go shopping for slabs. I said, but here's what I have in my shop. So I sent him some pictures. He said, sure, those look great. Let's do it. I'm concerned because, when they see it face like with their own eyes, are they going to love it? I can only do so much with what I have in front of me, right? And one that I was talking about, holes, I started to do the live edge, and it revealed these holes. I was like, the live edge has holes. What am I going to do about that? And I thought,
are you talking about the insect holes on the edge?
No, it's just like
the insect holes on the edge.
I don't know if it's an insect that did it, or if it's just the way the wood was growing, whether it was damaged. The tree had been maybe damaged in the past and it grew over, or it's not a burl, just these strange holes. So I'm just smoothing them out nice. I'm not going to fill them because it'll ruin the look of the live edge. It doesn't look, I want it to be natural. Again, like you say, you got to let the artist, when you're working with live edge, you got to let the artist, Mother Nature, and the artist doing the work create what it's going to be, right? Yeah. So
I find that most of the time people are pretty good, because if you ask enough questions, you at least get an idea of what they're looking for. And then I always let people know that this is not like if you went into a cabinet shop or kitchen shop and you say, oh, I like that dark black versus that light black. I get that when I'm making bench tops and things for designers. But I always try to remind them that I don't work with a pre-engineered product. And if your client wants that century feel, they want that natural, they want to bring Mother Nature into their home, that comes with some tolerance. And as long as you sand it out beautifully, and as long as you give it a good sealer and let the natural color tone come out,
Yeah.
I have found that like 90% plus people are happy with the project when it's done at
Sure.
the end of the day. They're usually
Sure.
actually over ecstatic about what you've done versus I'm like you, worried about whether they're going to like it. My anxiety level on installation days goes from like here to
Oh,
here, and I'm not
right.
even at the job yet. So
Okay,
yeah,
I can appreciate that. I haven't done any. Well, the shelves that I'm building, I'm not installing. He's installing because I'm not going into anybody's home right now. So, but as for installing shelves, well, what do I know about installing a shelf anyways? It's like I'm not only learning how to, I'm all about woodworking. I'm freaked out about how much I've learned lately about sanding and all sorts of stuff. Anyways, that the installation side of it is a whole nother learning
yeah.
curve. And I guess it was for you at one point, right? When you first
Yeah. I
started
mean,
installing.
it still is. You run into the same issues doing footing shelves with hover brackets that you
Yes.
do with mantles, and the challenges that, the one thing that the fellas in Vancouver from Hover tell you is that the bracket going against the wall has got to be flat. Don't care how bend or bowed the drywall is. And if anybody puts a level against a 4-foot section of drywall, finding a flat section can be a challenge.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's putting the bracket up and using the wedges and doing all the things you need to do to make it flat. Because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of people paying for that whole system is that they can pile heavy stuff on it.
Yes.
And I've stopped counting the number of big, heavy floating shelves I've done. Again, it's the more you learn in this business, the more you challenge yourself. And I've done a lot of that. Although I do encourage people, I've got a lot of local people that buy from me, and when they start talking shelves, I try to convince them. There are some beautiful brackets out there, like under-shelf brackets. You don't have to go to your local big box store and buy the L-shaped black bracket. There are some beautiful brackets in there.
There are.
Well, in that direction. Now we don't have to start using 2-inch wood that you got to put a big bracket in behind. Because like I've done a lot of charcuterie, black walnut, charcuterie style shelves.
Yeah.
And it's only 1/4 inch. You can't float it.
No, you can't float it. Yeah.
Unless it's 6 inches and you've got the flattest wall in the world, you might get away with it, but not likely.
Right.
But that stuff, a beautiful piece of charcuterie black walnut over 4 to 6 feet under some nice, tasteful brackets. It's stunning.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's all different, because the guys nowadays doing all the steel work, they can come up with all sorts of design ideas, or like blacksmiths, like Alan Slows there, he would probably come up with some great, beautiful designs if people are looking to put a shelf up and to avoid that problem with running into floating it, right?
Yeah, and I think of course, I work with lots of designers and lots of people in their kitchens and then their offices of doing the big floating shelves, and it's a trend. But again, for me. I always tell people it definitely cuts down your options. At the end of the day,
Right.
If you really want to bring that 200-year-old or that tree that's been milled beautifully into some 3/4 inch, 1 inch boards. Let's talk some brackets, because I like it. I think it looks great. Yeah.
I'll send you a picture after of a bracket idea that I stole off the internet.
Yeah. Back to my idea that nobody's ever had an original idea. We all steal it. When I was in the restaurant business, I used to laugh. I had a keg for too many years, and I always laughed. I always said to people in the restaurant business, if you can introduce me to somebody in the restaurant business that actually came up with their own recipe idea, I'd like to meet him, because we're all masters of stealing.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. I can do what I'm doing right now because I'm surrounded where I live with some wonderful people.
Yes, David, I know you are.
David Northern Joinery. Dave has been gracious enough to teach me things that.
Oh my God, lucky you.
Yeah, and sometimes nothing more than 5-minute conversation that I go,
yeah,
that makes sense. Now cool. I'm not afraid to do that. And Paul, I buy a lot of stuff from Paul at Metal Woods, and at the end of the day, he's been a bit of a working mentor for me for the last 2 or 3 years. And I
hear you have your own little corner there.
Pardon?
I hear you
practically live there sometimes.
Yeah, my wife said. She did the year-end books and went, "How much? Do you know how much money you spent there this year?" I went, "It's my main supplier. It's okay." But and I at any turn will share anything tip that I have, which maybe
Yeah.
is limited. But there are a lot of people out there that are starting. I had a really good client of mine. She's always buying things from me. She said, "I want to try doing some epoxy." I said, "Great, like bring it over. Let's try." And she really was afraid to tell me. She was afraid that suddenly she wasn't buying from me. I said, "I'm not worried about that."
Right.
But I think it's fun to show somebody something that maybe I know, so that you can have fun with it, because that's how I got to where I am.
Right. Exactly.
And,
Yeah. It's a compliment. It's a compliment to the maker if people are copying their work or if they want to pick their brain, right? It's a compliment, right?
and artisan, there's no school to go to for artisanship,
No.
I mean, so if you can't turn to each other for help or assistance, or why isn't that drying the way it's supposed to, or how do you get that flat?
Right.
And the suppliers are great too, but if you don't help each other, it's a lonely world out there. And
Yes.
there's, like I say, I'll make anything. The only thing I don't make are really big tables. One, I don't have enough room, and two, there are 100 people that live within 30 minutes of me that make big tables, and that's all
Exactly.
they want, make big tables.
Yes.
I'll make a coffee table, I'll make a side table, I'll make an entrance table.
Yeah.
That's usually out of something that's more than easy enough for me to handle. But I have lots of good references for people if they want a really big table, and that's great. And I find the people with really big tables, the last thing they want to do is start making frames. The last thing they want to do is start making small stuff.
Right.
So I do a lot of that for contractors and for other artisans. But again, we all do what we enjoy doing and pass it on. And then we're all comfortable passing on our own, sometimes limited information. And some of the people out there that just blow me away as to the skills that they have.
I know.
Yeah.
Since I've been in this industry, I've made some amazing friends, and I'll tell you that I was just blown away by Arison Woods, Makers Reusable Mold. Cornet and Aaron have taught me so much, like unbelievable. I can call them at like 11:15 at night and say, "I got this problem. What should I do?" And they help me. I had
a few times. I called you a few times saying, "Hey, where do I find this?" Because I might go to the person who knows everybody.
Yes, I do know everybody. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to become friends with Lori Nolan of Wood Designs by Lori.
Okay.
And to start, and I actually did a little epoxy pour, a bunch of stuff. I actually posted that with her and Cornet, and it was an amazing experience. Just watching them. I didn't really get too much into doing it. I was just like taking pictures and like watching what they were doing and asking questions.
Well, so I decided to, and it's funny because I thought I was picking up epoxy that I normally pick up, and I ended up picking up a cast flow. And I've never done a river pour, and I've never, I don't even make charcuterie boards where you're pouring the river down the middle. I just haven't brought myself to that point.
Sure.
I got lots of slabs to do that. So was it last week, the week before? I decided, hey, I'm going to try this. What a catastrophic failure.
Oh, no.
It just didn't work. But that's because I realized that you need to use a lot more solid. You got to use a lot more boards when you do a cast versus tape. so anyways, I took it all apart, and I made a promise to myself. I'm going to sand it all out, and I'm going to try again.
Okay.
So, but it's
so
the only thing in my.
Was the challenge the actual, was it the mold?
Well, I had a beautiful piece of Mappa burl.
Yeah.
With the end that was all sort of open on the end, so I wanted to cast the end of it, and so I put the boards all the way around it to seal it, and then I put a board underneath, and the bottom wasn't completely flat, so I taped up the rest of it. The thing about cast, and this, the stuff about this stuff where you do reports like water. It's not like that nice thick stuff I'm used to using.
Right.
And
it just goes everywhere.
Find a hole. It'll find a hole faster than a leaky faucet. So, anyways, a liter and a half of it later, I've learned something, and so but I don't give up and I don't go away, and so I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah. That's all you got to do. If you have questions, you can ask me.
I may be doing that. Maybe standing up the camera and saying, "Now what do I do?" But I don't have any desire to do big casts, but I have lots of beautiful slabs that have got open ends that would look really great with some crystal clear.
Yeah.
Well, it's time. After all these years, it's time to try some new things. And
yes, sure. I've got a few pieces too that I. What's that?
You got to keep challenging yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, otherwise it gets pretty boring if you're just always doing the same thing over and over again, right? Then you kind of lose your fire, right? Yeah. I'm gonna be doing. I have this one piece years ago when I posted it. I milled an ash tree that was my neighbor's. It had died on the front lawn, and he cut it. All of a sudden, somebody's out there cutting down the tree, and I'm running outside going, "What's going on? What are you doing with the tree?" It's like he gave it to me. It was awesome. So I milled it, and this one piece of a limb that I have, it's just incredible. And it has it's about, I don't know, it's about this big, split in half, right? And it's got all these trails from the ash borer going through it. And it's a crotch piece. So I want to actually cast it in my Maker's reusable mold in clear and turn it into a wall art. It'll be amazing. So that's a challenge.
I don't know if I'm there yet.
Neither do I.
Well, I have got a lot of slabs that I don't know what I'm going to do with, and casting some of them might be the answer, and so I want to learn that process.
Yeah.
There's lots of things. I mean, it's funny. A lot of my friends are around my age that are planning retirement, and I'm saying I still have 20 years left because I found something that I love so much that I can't even imagine getting up in the morning and not wanting to do it.
Yeah.
I'd like to stop doing it 7 days a week. But,
sure. Yeah, I hear you.
but and that's only my fault. That's nobody else's. But this doesn't ever feels like work. I mean, it has its moments of anxiety because you're doing things for other people quite often.
Exactly.
But this is a particular time of year that's my favorite time of the year. Not necessarily for volumes of sales, January and into February, but it's a chance for me to sort of, as you know, you pick through your piles of all of the really cool stuff that you've been hoarding and collecting. I go and see Paul to buy one board and come out with 20, and the trailer's full, and I say, my credit card's on file. I'll just ring it through.
Oh my God.
But this time of year that I love to just stop and make things that I want to make them available to other people, but just do those creative things that you've been spinning through your head for 10 months. But you don't have time.
Yeah.
And then January, break over Christmas, and I gear myself up to do, work with some cookies, work with some Live Edge, do some different things.
Right.
This is actually not sort of my favorite time of the year. And with the fact that there's no Cottage Life show likely again this year.
No, there won't be
that happening.
Yeah.
So usually a time that I gear up for that, but I'm not gearing up. So I'm just doing what I like to do, is just play around with some things.
Yeah, that was a piece of advice that Alex from Englewood Furniture gave me when I started this. He says, one piece of advice that I'll give you is get out to your shop and make what you want to make.
Yeah.
Make what you want to learn to make and start there. He said, that's the best place to start, is do things you want to do because you'll enjoy it. He said, that's how you learn. And then when somebody places an order, you've got some experience, you've made some things you want, and you probably end up selling them to your family and friends and stuff like that. And then it'll grow from there. Right. So
that's what I use the time when I've got to do some sealing or something's got to dry, and I'll move it into the inner shop and throw on the sawhorses, and then I'll run out to the production area and just make something that I want to make.
Right.
I have so many I'm the guy that goes and collects. So all those people that make those big tables, live edge tables, and the client says they don't want the actual live edge, and guys that are in the industry, as you know, when you were at the mill, probably you cut them all off and they all get piled in a corner. And I'm the hoarder that goes and takes them all out of the corner, and I have hundreds of them.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say,
I get most of them, and that's where I get all of them. I don't have the heart to cut them off. So what I've got. So I've got hundreds of those pieces, and that's what keeps me awake at night, wanting to get into the shop and make another.
Okay.
I make lots and lots of floor mirrors. Bigger the better.
Yes, but, I love them. I love them.
That's where I get to take those pieces and really make nice floor mirrors out of them, and that kind of thing, and then just throw them out there and say, who wants one?
Yeah. Right. And, sure. They're gorgeous. Look at them behind you. They're like amazing. Yeah. I was at the mill shopping because I'd gone from being the person who's selling the slabs to their customer, and they had a bunch. They are now carrying hickory. Back when I was there was a little bit of hickory, but now they've got like a whole thing of hickory charcuterie board stock. And there was this piece there, and it was like this, and then it went up, and then it went like this, and it was all rotting in the one part, and the other part isn't. And I went there 3 times, and the piece was still there, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I have to buy this piece. So the one with the rotting piece, I'm gonna break it all out, and I'm gonna put a mirror in it. So I'll be calling you for some advice.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is I tell people the beautiful part about working with live edge, especially when you turn it inside or you're doing something like you're talking about, don't have to worry about the mirror. It's just a back mount. You don't have to route it in. Some people say, well, how do you get the mirror into that live edge?
It just goes on the back. Yeah. And then you just put some extra blocks. I picture putting some extra blocks so that it'll sit flat on a wall. Right?
Yeah. Just use the mounters. Like any good glass shop will have the Z-shaped mounters that go on the back, and then just put like you say, just when you're hanging it. I use the hangman brackets. I've hung 200-pound mirrors with the hangman. They're pretty easy and simple to use. You have to build out too much the back. You only able to build out the width of the whatever you secured the mirror with, and it's nice clean look. It's nice and easy to use, but
right.
Yeah.
Right on.
I'm like you. I've got sitting a 12 or 14, maybe longer foot by probably 4 foot wide piece of massive spalted maple that I didn't need. I didn't go to buy. It was just sitting there against the wall. And one of the fellas at Paul's shop said, Keith, there's something over there we've been saving for you. And I went, oh. And so I went over, and it is beautiful because it's the whole middle of it is eaten away. So all the spalting is around it like that. And it's one of those things typically you would cast, I think, or fill. So I think you have to use UV epoxy to secure the spalting, somebody said.
Yes, and then to stabilize it, because it'll crack over time. It'll start cracking for sure.
So it's a project that it's still sitting there, and at some point it has to come here. And it may be my sort of first attempt at something that's larger.
Right. And so you say it's 12 feet?
Yeah, it's easily 12 or 14 feet long. It's a massive slab. Like it's I call it one of my stupid projects. I just fell in love with the wood.
Yeah.
It could have been 100 feet long. I just fell in love with the wood. I fell in love with black walnut and spalted maple. I don't have to look at it twice. I just buy it.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, it's like finding a nice piece of Napa burl, right? You just buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm big on the oaks. I like actually red oak, and that's one of the cheapest ones you can buy because it's just not that popular. Everybody thinks it's grandma's furniture, but I love red oak slabs.
I never would have thought of using red oak either, but I had a client that wanted. I had 2 clients that wanted just desktops. And they didn't want to spend a lot, and I did. I found some really long pieces, and the nice thing is the red oak mills up pretty flat. And that's what I did. I made 2 really big desktops out of red oak, and I was incredibly pleased with the way the staining came out, because they wanted them a little darker brown.
Right.
And it took the stain so well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of falling in love with that too. And I think I'm going to do a little more work with that. Although it's interesting, hickory, when you talked about hickory, I don't even know if I know what hickory looks like.
Oh, okay. So a little thing about hickory, and I remember people telling me before I ever worked with it, that it's a pain in the ass. So it's a very stringy wood.
Oh, okay.
It's very stringy, for a lack of a better word. And so you're sanding and all these little stringy pieces are coming up, and it's not, it's more of a rustic. So it would definitely fit down your alley. It's something that you want to leave rustic, because it's hard to get it smooth. I found, anyways, doing the Live Edge, I did a bunch of charcuterie boards in hickory, which I love the look of it. But those edges, I could not get them smooth, like they're still kind of rough, you know. But I just thought that's just the nature of the wood. I'm going to go with it. We're going to keep it natural, rustic sort of charcuterie board, not one of these more fine detailed ones, right? So that's my take on hickory, is it's very stringy. Yeah. Makes it hard
I mean,
to work
that's been the big lesson for me. I mean, is just learning the species of wood over time.
Yeah, they each have their own thing about them.
I go to Paul's place and I walk along and I guess what the wood is a lot of times, and most of the time I'm wrong.
Oh.
but yeah, it just shows I don't come from the woodworking world over a long period of time. A lot of people come from a woodworking world, and I come from a business world that fell.
Yeah, you were an executive something or other, weren't you?
Yeah, I've done a lot of things that are business oriented, the restaurant industry, the media industry.
Right.
You know, I fell into this simply because I made some frames for my wife out of barn board, because the ones I made out of normal wood and painted black, neither one of us thought we should put them on the wall. So I made some out of barn board out of fluke, and you know, it just took off because she went and posted it, and friends and family started asking you, and those are the only ones you're willing to say yes to, because there's no way you would make anything and sell it to somebody when you don't have a clue what you're doing. When I look
right.
back, yeah, and I fell into this. So it's been a massive 5-year, wonderful learning process of everything from what wood will do, what wood will not do, and learning about wood. And I mean, it's if somebody wants to sit down and talk business, hey, I'm there all day long. I can fill their brains with all kinds of stuff, but I'm now I'm no longer the teacher. I'm very much the student, and I could spend the next 20 years learning this business and loving
that's
it.
awesome.
And,
Good.
You know, and I just things like this week was doing up cookie coffee tables. Next week is doing benches out of all of these beautiful long slabs that I've picked up that have got live edge on both sides. And you know,
nice.
At some point, though, you make enough, and then you got to stop because you can find people to buy them.
Well,
but yeah. But you know, it's funny. Anytime when you find, because I'm into making. When COVID first started, I was making PPE screens for countertops and lawyers' offices and grocery stores out of hardwood, because hardwood will hold up to the flexibility of the plexiglass. And then the shutdown started again and again. I'm getting calls from lawyers' offices and grocery stores to make them again. So lots of side projects. I think the moment you say that you'll do anything out of wood, it comes out of the woodwork, it comes out of the walls. And,
I know. It's crazy. So I haven't even advertised, and I have people calling me and saying, yeah, can you make this for me? Can you make that for me? And I'm like, oh, I didn't even advertise it. Just they somehow found me.
Well, I think you have a pretty good following, Paul. We're all striving to get where you are. But I mean, that I think is what is, and I talk to other artisans, and I think, you know, that's the funnest part about this business, is that you get up every day and there's an email or there's an Instagram message or there's a Facebook message. For medias you use, and it's somebody's got into your contact page on your website. Yep. And the funnest part is reading, and they're going, can you do this? And then you start reading about what it is they want you to do. And it's rarely it's the same thing. And it's what makes this business or this industry so fun, is that you are a product of the excitement or the creativity of your clients. You know,
Absolutely.
you don't know what's in their head. Sometimes you got to ask a lot of questions, even though they've asked to figure out okay, let's stop here for a minute. I need to further understand, because sometimes they're just saying, hey, can you make me a hardwood mirror like you do? What does it cost? It's like asking a real estate agent, you know, I want to buy a house. What does it cost? Well, I need a little more information. But
exactly.
You know, when you look, and I'm sure you're the same way and I'll go into other artisans' shop and you can look from corner to corner and there's no two projects the same. Yeah. There's stuff all over the place. From, like you say, a charcuterie board in this corner to a table being made in this corner to something being cast over there. I don't think there's another industry I've ever worked in. Certainly the food industry you'd think is creative, but it's got nothing on this industry. The creativity that our clients have in their heads that they want to get out of their head and into your head to make something is what drives me to get up and keep doing this, because I don't know from 1 week to the next what exactly I'm going to be making, and that's what makes this thing fun. And not boring. You don't have wood, you got to go buy it. You got to go hunting for the wood.
Even though you got so much wood.
I 2 years ago I bought a cargo trailer, you know, the covered cargo trailer. Whole new world. I can buy it and store it now. I can back it up and say load it up. Yeah.
I'm putting a tent. I'm putting one of those tents in my backyard. You know, I'm putting a tent, right? So I'm going to do the whole gravel on the floor thing, put the tent and they make a decent storage spot, because I can't move in my garage.
Yeah, well, we lived across the street in December with a 2-car garage, and we moved across the street in last December to a 3-car garage. I have other family living with me, and we still have 4 cars in the driveway, my truck and a trailer, because nobody gets any garage space. It's all mine.
Right.
That was part of the agreement of moving. But I don't have that outside storage, so I literally quite often I'm standing on my wood. I'm literally standing on my wood. But again, you know, there are days when the funnest time, believe it or not, sometimes it's actually cleaning the shop and discovering all the things that you have that are behind 10 other pieces of something.
Exactly.
And then you're going, I wish I remembered that was there when I told the client I couldn't make it last month.
Well, I know, it's like, darn it, there's that piece that would work for that project. Who was it that asked me about that?
And then you're back into your meeting and you're trying to find it.
Was that message in Instagram, Facebook, email?
Yeah, I tell everybody, okay, I'm going to make it now. Let's get on to email, because I'll finish. I've done that. Have you ever done that where you finish the project and you can't find the client to tell them that it's done?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I've had stuff like that happen. It's like, I know somebody asked me about something and it was in my head because I didn't write it down. And then I go and I do whatever it is. And then I'm like, who the hell was it that asked me? Right?
I have an action book, and I'm actually pretty good about writing everything in it. But there are times where I go, that mirror's done. Who is it for? Or I know who's it for, but how did they communicate?
Right. Yeah. Then you have to figure it out. Yeah. And then I've had people wait long enough that they finally contact me, and I go, oh my God, I'm so glad you called me. I was wondering where this was supposed to go.
I went through that at Christmas when it's charcuterie board time, right?
Yes.
And I bought a truckload of ovals, black walnut ovals.
Yes.
Where you cook. I think there was about 200 of them in the back of my truck.
Oh my gosh.
They were sold within 2 hours. 2 hours of one before I got home by people. I had like 100 emails to try and sort out who was who.
That's hard.
I didn't write it all down. so it was a bit of a stressful time. I will do that different. Yeah, and that's the $1 million question. Are charcuterie boards in 2021 next fall going to be the thing? I don't know. I haven't been in this business long enough to know charcuterie boards are a mainstay.
But I know why everybody starts in September, because I'm just coming into this now as a maker. So I knew that when September hits, as soon as Labor Day was over, everybody wanted to start buying their charcuterie board stock. Now I know why. Because you've got to start making your charcuterie boards in September, because by the time you get to November, you're so busy selling charcuterie boards and trying to keep up and trying to stay organized. Oh my gosh.
Well, if I can figure that it's going to be a hot item still again next year, I'll start making them in June and July.
Right.
Because
Yep.
I think I made, I'm going to say 600 or 700 charcuterie boards in the last quarter.
Oh my
last year.
gosh.
And it was everything from long ones out of charcuterie stock to the old ones, to you name it. And then when I got into December, they're all sold out, and I was just grabbing anything and everything I could make a board out of. When I wasn't making something else, and I finally, by about December 10th, I just said to people, I'm done. I'm done with top oil. I don't want to make any more. I just don't want to make any more. Talk to me in January.
Yeah.
You'll start eating in January. You don't need it for Christmas. So.
I had people coming to the shop right up to the 23rd, actually. I closed on the 23rd. So right up to the 23rd, I had people coming to the shop to pick up charcuterie boards. So
I couldn't get any more material. There was none in this region left to buy.
You just didn't call me. You just didn't call me.
Yeah. But you know, by about the middle of December, I didn't want to find any more material.
Yeah. Right on.
I've never enjoyed a shutdown for 10 days than I did, and I literally did nothing.
That's good for you. Yeah, I need to do that. I need to just stop one day and just actually I'm taking back my Sundays now.
Are you?
So I go no social media, nothing on Sundays. So if I hear my phone dinging,
how's that working?
I tell myself, don't touch it, Paula. Just
how's that working out?
Oh, so. But Sundays are my day. I don't have any customers come. I have no emails, no nothing. I have to do that for my sanity. Because when you know everybody, it's crazy, because people constantly contact me. It's for one thing or another. It's either, if it's not epoxy, it's wood. If it's not wood, it's just a million questions. I have the $1 million brain. I just wish I could learn how to make $1 million with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just got to get a dime. Yeah, I always just say to people, if I could have got a dime for every question I answered in the restaurant industry, I wouldn't be working with wood.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be, but I wouldn't be charging people for it. Yeah.
It's got to the point where I want to start saying, hey, this is like consulting, right? So if you want to know stuff, I have to charge something.
Yeah, I couldn't charge anyone asking me a question, because the amount of questions I ask, they charge me. Yeah. So
it depends on the question, right? It depends on the question. Yeah, and how much people want to know.
And you're very gracious with your information. We all appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that the show will bring a lot to people. I think that it's an important thing. When I talk to different people like you, people will take something from what.
Yeah. Well, and I would say it here now. Anybody has a question, all of us have something we can add to somebody's question.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
Sometimes it's not a big hint, not a big trick to learn, but there's some things that I asked questions, and it was such a simple answer back that it solved so many headaches along the way. And sometimes it was just, like you say, that RAN gate. I mean, it was the fellow from Dusty Lumber out west.
Yes.
I saw him using it. What the hell is that? Can I say that? I'm sorry, online.
Yeah, that's okay.
What is that? I messaged him, and he was I know the guy's busy, and he was great. We chatted, and he told me, and I called up the company, who was amazing to deal with. And when I got it and started using it, I thought, oh my gosh, I literally, I can't even count the hours.
You were dealing with
anything else, but from this podcast today is call Rangate, get the system.
I'm not sure if I pronounced his name properly, but Florian. Yes.
Yeah, I've never had anybody call me so many times to make sure that I was happy.
I know, same here. He sends me emails. He sends me messages on Instagram. How's it going?
Yeah, I know. And I don't feel like it's a sales pitch. He genuinely wants to know if everything's working okay.
Yeah. It's a good company, definitely. I'm very impressed with them as well. So
it's funny how you go down that road. Like I'm doing something that I don't know whether or not it'll go anywhere, but I have a couple of young guys that are really good friends of mine that are in the car detailing industry, and they work with they use a system called I'll think about it now. I'm gapping because I'm, of course, talking to a camera.
Yes.
they use a system for protecting a lot of expensive cars, and it's a coating.
Okay.
And bothers me because I could tell you the name of it any other day of the week. So I actually finished a really nice big cookie coffee table.
Yeah.
And I took it and we're applying it to the top of it. Because the one thing I have found in this business is the number one question that not number one, but a big question that a lot of customers have is, how do I protect this table? And we all know that products like Osmo and different products that are out there certainly have a wonderful protection ratio. And this ceramic coating that we're trying on this, I'm hoping that it'll really turn into something that goes to that next level of protection. Because this is something that goes on cars, goes out in the elements, comes with a 5-year warranty against scratching, all the different things. Fading, especially as I've done some things for people where they put them in a window with heavy sunlight, and they fade. This product doesn't allow that in car tops.
Okay.
And Ceramic Pro is what it's called. So anybody
Ceramic Pro. Okay.
Ceramic Pro, it's something that high-end car dealers use, car detailing use. It's so if there are people out there that know all about this and go, Keith, that's old hat. But talking to some people, that I know, nobody said I've ever tried that. So we're going to try it and see if it adds an added layer of protection to a coffee table or a table. And I'll let you know how that works out because we're doing it right now as we speak.
Okay, cool.
The guys who are doing it are certified pros at it, and so far they're telling me that it's doing great. You can't tell it's any different than what I had on it. What I took to them was right down to like the Osmo 3043's finish on it, and I'm doing this to see if that added layer of protection will do anything, and we'll do some testing on it, and we'll see where it goes. So that it's something fun. I guess that's the business mind in my head going, what's out there that we can do that's different? And
that's really cool.
And go.
I'll be curious to see what you're gonna maybe do a little post on that once you. I want to give it the demolition test and see what it does. Sure.
I may not do it on the piece I gave them because it was a really nice piece, but I'll give them a piece finish that we can do some damage testing to it.
Yeah.
But, we'll see where it goes.
That would be good. A good video.
Because I've been in a number of places where I hear clients talking to table makers about, the protection. And quite often what I hear is that they can send it off to a place that can do the polyurethane finish on it.
Yeah.
But could tend to be a process and time and a cost. The application of Ceramic Pro is no different than putting it on a Porsche or an Audi. That it's an application and a buffing and that kind of thing, and it's a pretty easy process. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah,
it should be fun. Got to have a new project on the go all the time.
That's nice. Yeah. That's cool. That's really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing your post on that. So. Yeah. Well, it's been a great conversation. And I'm so happy that we finally hooked up.
Well, good luck in 2021 with all of the new things that you're doing. And
thank you.
Maybe I'll get your way when we can travel again. I'll have to make a road trip. I keep saying I will, but I will come and see you and see all your hordes.
Yeah, if you want to come by the barn.
I'll see what you're willing to part with.
All right, Keith, it was wonderful for you to take this time to share your knowledge and to talk about all these different things, the aspects of the business. And so tell everybody, what's your Instagram handle?
You can get a hold of me on Instagram or Facebook at RusticWorksBerry, and rusticworks.ca is my website. The easiest way to get a hold of me is just through the Instagram or Facebook. Just DM me, and I'm really quick to respond because I think that's what clients want. They want response, and even when I'm wearing my work headphones, it's all connected to my media. So if you call me, I'll answer. I'll turn the saws off and I'll answer.
Oh, you've got headphones that you can, and you hear the phone ring and everything.
Yeah. Well, they're all Bluetooth connected, so
Bluetooth.
whether I get pinged on my social media or somebody calls me,
Oh,
it's
you
nice
know.
part.
Okay. I don't have that yet. I'm doing the earbuds with the muffs on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, right on. Okay, Keith. Well,
So
have a
you
great
stay
day.
safe. You stay safe.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll
Chatting.
see. Hope to see you soon. Okay.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed watching, be sure to click like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell to stay in the loop. If you have any questions, or if you would like to be featured on the Live Edge Lumber Girl show, leave a comment below. Until next time.